It's Tuesday, February 18th. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. In this time of calls for buying Canadian and shoring up our local, provincial, and national economies, we are going to talk about starting businesses and why it may be easier than you think, the ins and outs, supports and challenges, all to taking that big leap. Yeah, right. If we're talking about the economy and buying local, what about starting a business? We've got a full 5 minutes for you folks, and the lines are open. I'm going to introduce my guests shortly. Great crew today. I mean, every day there's a great crew, but today they're especially great. Are you thinking of starting a business? Do you have an experience from operating one you'd like to share? Or if you've got questions or comments as you listen to us, get in touch with us, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text us, 709-327-8206, The Signal at cbc.ca for emails. Let me see, who do we have here? Yawan Tui Ajay is here, co-owner, 1949 Barber Shops, plural. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
How many, I interviewed you back during the pandemic, and did you have one then or two?
That was...
Or was it
one.
Three? One.
Yeah.
And now how many 1949 barbershops are there?
5.
5. 1 to 5. Okay. We're going to unpack that and how you got there in a little bit. We also have Jess Jones, Senior Business Consultant, Business Planning Program, YMCA. How you doing?
I'm great, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Give folks a 1 or 2 line explanation of what Senior Business Consultant, Business Planning Program, YMCA is all about.
All right. So I work within the employment enterprise and newcomer services area within the YMCA, and I support 19-plus entrepreneurs across Newfoundland and Labrador with one-on-one personalized guidance and networking and professional development opportunities.
See, folks, I said if you got questions, Jess is the person to ask to, because it's literally Jess's job, right? To help
Absolutely.
folks who are trying to start businesses. And we also have Melissa Hogan, Marketing Director and co-owner of St. John's Walking Tours. How you doing?
Doing good.
So you sent me a note, and you're like, hey, have you done a show on entrepreneur stuff? And I was like, well, every so often we dip in and out, we do tech stuff, but I was like, not specifically for what you were talking about. Tell us and tell the folks listening about the little note and then our back and forth.
Sure. So my thought was, I was listening to the show one day, and you...
First of all, thank you for that.
and you made a comment about, if you have any ideas for the show, let me know. And I thought, I wonder about, entrepreneurship and starting businesses from that point of view, not somebody who, maybe wants to start small even. And just the experience that I've had going through the process of how much support there is out there and how much that there's funding out there. There's a lot of people to help you, because starting a business can be a really big, scary idea.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. And so that was something that I went through and learned and thought would be good for other people to know.
Because I've wondered, right? I've out on our runs, and my mind is wandering, and especially when we talked about doing the show, and I was just like, how would I? I have no idea how to start a business. I honestly don't, right? It's not something that, and I've had entrepreneurs on. I've I had 2 of you here on the show before a couple of times. Let's start with that then. Okay, so let's go back for St. John's Walking Tours.
Yeah,
you had an idea. Right?
Yes.
With a business partner.
Yep. Yeah. So my business partner, Pierre, he found himself looking for a job, but also not really wanting to work for somebody else. And I had this idea many years ago that St. John's should have a walking tour for tourism, because it's really popular in Europe and we didn't have one, but we have a really walkable downtown core with lots of really interesting history. And I thought Pierre would be a great tour guide. So we started, because neither one of us had any idea how you start a business, what was involved. We contacted the City Business Information Center with the City of St. John's, and we're like, we have this idea. What do we do? How do we start? Who do we talk to? And they were actually really helpful. So they were like, and they actually connected us with the YMCA, with the business planning program, and there was some funding out there to avail of. And I found that every kind of step of the way is we're like, okay, we had that. So now we've got the next piece of the puzzle. And we went to the YMCA, and they helped us write our business plan. Because we walked in with, our first meeting, we walked in with an 8-page business plan and thought we were on top of the world. We're like, yeah, we did our research. And we met with, at the time, it was Ted Cadigan. And he looked at it and was like, yeah, it's a good start. And we left with a 38-page business plan full of financial spreadsheets, and it was really helpful to get us to that next level, to make us really think about our business deeply, and to set us up for success in getting funding and getting on the go.
What once you go and you do all that, when like it was day one of operating, what was that like?
It was kind of funny because I was in Portugal and Pierre was here in St. John's. We were waiting for part of the funding that we got was we couldn't operate. We couldn't start until they said yes.
Yeah.
And so I happened to be away when we got the yes. And we had the website ready. We had everything ready to go. And so we couldn't like high five because long distance.
Yeah.
But it was pretty exciting. So I was on a yoga retreat and I hit publish on the website and then ran out and told everybody on the in my retreat. So.
I'm kind of picturing you like surrounded by folks doing yoga, and all of a sudden your phone rings. And like, sorry, I'm so sorry, but my business is starting. All right.
Yeah.
I love that that picture, especially if it's Pierre, who I knew way back on the English teaching circuit in South Korea in another life on another continent. Yeah. What about for yourself? Because I remember we first met at CBC Soccer Game years ago, and then interviewed you during the pandemic, and also since then. How did you, 1949 barbershop, tell me the start story for that and the jump, the leap.
Okay. 1949 actually came about around 2016.
Yeah.
The concept was already there. There was a guy who thought of the idea of having a service tailored for black people. And that's to have a barbershop that can take off Afro hair. So that was back in 2014 down to 2015. So my co-owner, Gustavo, became the owner of that shop because the person who started it wasn't a barber himself. So it was hard to navigate through that. So when Gustavo took over, I just came to school. I came to Memorial University. I was doing same in Toronto. I was cutting hair there. So Gustavo then made that proposal if I'm interested in partnering with him and working in the barbershop. Initially, I didn't want to because I had zero plan of settling here in Newfoundland. I just come do your school and go back. But fast forward, I said yes, and I went in there. Actually, I figured it wasn't a business.
Yeah.
It was more like a hangout spot where people come while away time, have a chat and watch sports. So it wasn't like a business setting or any form of it. So I just had to sit down and talk to Gustavo. Said, man, if you want me in this is my idea. This is how we can go as a business. And Gustavo was all for it. He gave me a full support to make the changes that I can make. He had some guys that used to come there to cut hair every now and then, make some money and go and spend. And I said, we cannot continue that. Either they are here or not. So he said, what do you want to do? I got rid of them. So that's where the restructuring started. So we changed the name from Rouge to 1949 back in 2016. And then we initiated the incorporation process. By 2018, we had just been so busy. People knew about us. But when I came in 2016, it wasn't a spot that people knew. And we didn't even have, I would say, white clients.
Yeah.
The locals. Nobody knew about the place. But by 2018, we started having locals coming in. And so at that point was where I realized this is a business. So we need to start making some steps to make it look more like a formal business. So we started looking for a different location because we had a small space to operate from, which wasn't ideal for expansion But then the place was so nice that like the personal interactions that you have with your clients was something that we didn't want to lose either.
No, of course.
So we were a little bit hesitant to move, but it got to a point that we could not handle the crowd. So we have to. That's when we moved to Torbay.
Right.
Back in 2019. And that was the very year that I graduated from my master's program at MON. So this time around, I have a full time to spend at the barbershop. And we got few barbers in. We tried to keep the old location, but at that time it was hard to find barbers, especially barbers who have the requisite skill to do Afro hair, Caucasian hair, and all those types of hair. So it wasn't easy. It was just me, Gustavo, just juggling through. Gustavo is LPN. He works with Eastern Health full time. So it was hard. It was hard, but thank God we managed to go through that. And then 2020, we decided to have another location.
Great year for that. Excellent year for expansion, 2020.
We found a place in Village Mall, and I signed a lease in February.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
And then March, COVID happened. So it was such a challenging moment. But by then we had built up the goodwill. Most of our clients were still reaching out to us even though the shops were closed. And one amazing thing was I was still receiving e-transfers from clients who didn't have a haircut.
Oh, wow.
That's how supportive the community was to us. It was such an amazing time. So we went through that for 3 months, no work. All my workers are home. And even between the barbers, some didn't qualify for the government support fund, the SEBA and those. But some of the barbers who qualified were able to share theirs with their colleagues. So it was more like support for each other.
Yeah.
So I knew I had a very reliable crew, something that I can just do everything for. So at that point, I found more resolve not to let anything happen to the shop because we were building a community, which was very nice. So we went through that difficult moment, and it took us a year and few months to open the second location. And that was it. We started getting busy. Nobody expected that post-COVID barbershops were going to be, but we got so busy. People were coming in, even with masks, they were still coming in. So.
Yeah.
And then I moved from St. John's to CBS. It was just normal and natural for me to have a shop in CBS. So I worked that out with Gustavo. It's always been supportive, everything that I try to do with the business, because he knows I have good intentions for the business. So, and we opened CBS. It took off just like that. I had just started a program at Kona when I opened CBS. Unfortunately, all my barbers didn't want to move to CBS, so I had to open it myself.
Yeah.
Juggling through school, driving back to CBS. It was such a challenging time also. But then I found another barber and another one. CBS is busy now and it's up and running, very good. Then came Gander.
Gander?
Yeah.
I didn't know. So you said 5 shops. I didn't realize one was in Gander. So are you moving to Gander next or what?
No, I don't think I'll be moving. But we had a lot of clients coming from that side, and it was just something that we thought of bringing the service closer to them.
Yeah.
let them have that experience. Because even St. John's, when we started, we didn't have barbershop that were able to do the kind of haircut we do, all the hair textures and stuff like that. So bringing that service in Uganda was just a way of bringing service to the community and introducing that new culture also. So it wasn't a hard decision to make.
No.
And Uganda is also up and running. We opened last year before Christmas, and it's been running till now. And then the last one is just Freshwater Road. Yeah.
So the last one for now. And how many barbers do you employ, by the way?
Right now I have a total of 23 staff.
23 staff.
Yeah, barbers. So.
A guy who did not want to stay in Newfoundland.
I know. I know.
I think you're stuck here now.
Yeah, my wife is from here, so even if I want to go, she won't.
There's no choice. All right, I'm going to check in with Jess Jones on this. So we've heard two origin stories of two businesses, right? How? Just tell me your thoughts on hearing. And I know you know Melissa's anyways because you work with her. But just tell me your thoughts on hearing these origin stories for these businesses.
This is exactly the client that I see on the day-to-day is someone who has maybe one idea, or ideally they're ready to start off with one shop like Yao and Gustavo, and then before you know it, they have expansion ideas and growth ideas because, as Melissa mentioned, there's so much support out there, and once a new entrepreneur is connected within the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Newfoundland and Labrador, it's really easy then to see where the referrals are, where the resources are, where the funding opportunities are as well. And then really the sky is the limit, because once you build that support network, then you really have people behind you who want to see you succeed. And the fact that you folks have opened up a location in Gander is amazing. Our program is a provincial program, so I'm always advocating for more small businesses opening up in rural and remote areas in the province, because just as you said, yeah, you're filling a gap. There was no one out there in that area offering that type of service to folks with different textured hair, and you know that there's a community out there with that need, and you filled that. And that is exactly ultimately what every business should be doing if they want to succeed, is identifying a gap or a problem in a community, and then ideally their product or service would then fill that gap.
So then for the folks that get in touch with you from Labrador to the island and all around, what's the range for the businesses that there were ideas that you've been hearing and what folks have been trying to start in Newfoundland and Labrador?
So there are a lot of really artsy and crafty folks around here. I got to say.
No shortage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, people get a Cricut and, they run with it and it's amazing. Well beyond Facebook Marketplace for sure. So, of course, everyone in St. John's would be familiar with St. John's Farmers Market. And the businesses that come through there are vast and different, but at the end of the day, they're all working in that art industry in some way, or the food industry. And so I do see a lot of businesses coming through that want to open art galleries or start turning a hobby that they consider just a craft that they do at home into something that they can sell and make some money out of and wake up every day and enjoy what they're doing. I also see a lot of folks, especially a lot of folks in Lab West area, who have a trade background. Maybe they have 10 to 20 years experience working in their trade, and they're about ready to start putting on a management hat. They now want to open up their own company, have their own crew, and operate in that side. And then we do see a lot of service-based businesses. So in the food industry, cleaning industry, I recently met someone who wants to open a DJ business. So it's really wide, and no one's turned away. Whatever business idea you have, I'm here to entertain it. I'm here to help see how we can open it or we can grow it.
So if someone comes to you with an idea, right? What's your advice for them? If I'm knock knock, hey, how you doing? Adam Walsh here. I got this little business idea because I'm making a thingamajig, and I think we can sell these in shops or whatever. What do you tell me to do?
Yeah, so the first thing that I do is what I just call a get to know you call, which is just scheduling that first 30-minute conversation. I want to know the entrepreneur behind the idea. Why do they think they're the best person to run that business? Is it because they have a passion for the industry it would operate in? Is it because they're already doing it as a hobby and they can turn turn it into something that makes some money. And then really helping them understand that it needs to fill a need in the community. So doing market research to get a survey of the land of who their competitors might be already. Is there a customer market out there? And then a lot of folks are looking for some financial support to get that business up and running. And so figuring out what business plan they might need, or maybe do they even understand what a business plan is. So we have templates that we provide to our clients to help them navigate through writing a business plan. And then I work with them alongside, hand in hand, to make sure they understand what a business plan is, what it needs to represent in terms of community standards, and ultimately what a loan organization or bank would be looking for. But then also making sure that the entrepreneur feels comfortable in that piece of paper represents what their business is, because ultimately they're the expert in the product or service. I'm coming in with the business knowledge to support them.
Awesome.
Yeah, it sounds amazingly helpful. I know that there are people listening right now who are like, actually, who's that talking, and how do we get in touch with her? So Jess Jones, Senior Business Consultant, Business Planning Program, YMCA. If folks want to get in touch with you, what is the best? I mean, Google YMCA Jess Jones would be probably the easiest way, but what else should they know?
Yeah, you can absolutely email me. So it's jess.jones@nl.ymca.ca, or you can go directly to our YMCA NL website, and you can look up the business planning program, and my contact info is there.
Yeah, and we're just saying, call the YMCA.
That's right.
St. John's.
Just call the
Hey, get the business person on the phone with us. We got ideas.
Absolutely.
What? All right. So this is the start of everything. I've got a few questions about operating and everything else, but I don't know if you know this, right? In the last few weeks, there's been a lot of talk about Buy Canadian. There's been a lot of talk about shoring up the economy. I won't go into why. We'll just say it's because of certain comments made by the leader south of the border. I don't think you folks need that context. What's the discussion like for each of you now with where we are for either your businesses or for folks you're helping, given this Buy Canadian time? Melissa, what about yourself?
Well, I think the general sentiment now of people wanting to travel more within Canada, it's kind of giving 2020 vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Of, staycationing and staying in Canada and exploring more here. And Canada is for Newfoundland, Canada is one of our biggest tourism markets anyway, Ontario, BC, Alberta. So I think we might see more people coming here, which is great for my business.
Yeah, we're walking tours. It's if you get more visitors coming from across the country.
They want to eat our food and learn about our history and all of that good stuff. So I think I'm not quite sure how we're going to navigate it from, say, a marketing point of view yet. But at the moment, I'm still seeing a lot of American bookings coming in. They tend to book very early.
Yeah, a weak Canadian dollar might be helpful there.
That's also that. So any Americans who want to come up and support Canada and see what we're about and come up to Newfoundland, while the weak Canadian dollar is not great for us, it's good for them. And Karen and I always say that we love, one thing about our business we love is that we bring in outside money into the province. Like we love those Ontario dollars, the American dollars. Let's bring it all into Newfoundland.
That's good.
Yeah, what about yourself? Yeah. What's the conversation like?
Actually, my whole business life, I have always advocated for domestication.
Yeah.
So anything local is what I'm in for.
Yeah.
So even before this conversation came in, I've always advocated for people to subscribe to their own stuff.
Yeah.
And for the service that I provide, I don't think I need anything outside. It's within. So the conversation around this in my barbershop has always been the same. Yeah. Give the best to the people that you serve, and that's what we do all the time. Yeah.
And you've talked about it already, but you're really into community.
Yes.
Because there's a soccer team. Tell us about some of the community involvement.
This whole barbershop thing is a service to the community. That's where I started. And Gustavo, as I've always been saying, he's a classical example of that. His demeanor, his personality, everything he thinks of is how to help people. And you can only do that through harnessing your own skill and passion. And barbering is, I would say, my passion. Same as Gustavo. Gustavo is very good with sports. So when we got into the barbering shop, and now we were thinking about how to give back to the community, we could not think past anything than sports. And that's why we got into soccer. And I'm sure Jess is aware because she deals with a lot of immigrants coming in here. It's so hard to integrate into a new community. Settlement has always been an issue. People think it's just where you stay and where you eat. No, how to socialize is a big thing for immigrants. So when I came, I had the opportunity to join a soccer team through Gustavo, and then I can testify the importance of such groupings. So we decided to form a soccer team just to get access to people who are coming in. And the first year, my team, we had only one local person, someone from Newfoundland. The rest, we had about 13 nationals.
Yeah, so the United Nations of soccer. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's been something that we have been doing since, and we have also been sponsoring other sporting activities and entertainment, also something that it's give back to the community, let people have access to so many things. And it's been so helpful, and it's a joy to see that you are making impact in someone's life, like you also received at some point. So I think that's something that we enjoy doing.
And we've done previous shows here about the fact that Newfoundland and Labrador, compared to a lot of other Canadian provinces, don't score well with retention for newcomers, right? On it when you look across the country. But then when I hear your story, right, you got a guy who wasn't planning on staying here, does a master's, right? The next thing you know, starts a business, starts exploring community stuff, setting up community, fostering, having soccer teams for others coming in, putting down roots. And it's more than because previous complaints on previous shows I've done about sometimes the way newcomers can be viewed here from the business community is here's the job and this is it. It's no, it's about community and putting down roots, which is everything you're talking about. There. We got someone on the line I want to go to, and we can get back to this shortly. Folks, this is The Signal. I'm Adam Walsh. Today we're talking about entrepreneurship, about starting a business. It may be easier than you think. The ins and outs, supports and challenges of taking that leap into entrepreneurship. As you're listening, if you're thinking of starting a business, if you've got an experience from operating one you would like to share, or if you've got questions for the guests, not so much for me because I don't have answers, but my guests do, the numbers to call 709-722-7111. 1-800-563-8255. You can text us 709-327-8206. The Signal at cbc.ca. Getting ready for the show, right? So I knew I'd have a couple folks from town, also Gander for the business, and with representation from the YMCA, and like we were saying, it's a cross-provincial thing. So I put out some calls. One of the people I got in touch with is Dwayne Collins, Hare Bay Adventures, the owner. Dwayne's on the line. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing very well, actually. Myself and my wife, Renee, are the owners. Actually.
Perfect. I should have said co-owner. So yourself and Renee tell us about the start of Hare Bay Adventures, how you got started and taking that leap.
Well, we were living in Churchill, Manitoba, actually. I was working for Parks Canada at the time, and we were thinking about it was time to get back home. I mean, Newfoundlanders, we're kind of like salmon. We like to return to our native river.
That's what my wife says about my parents' family, because everyone has returned to live in around Calls Harbor and Glovertown. She's like, they're just like salmon. I'm like, yes. So tell me more about this salmon story, Dwayne.
Yeah, so we were starting to think about what we were going to do. Our daughter at the time was turning 4 years old, so in December of 2017, we moved back to Hare Bay, my hometown, and we created Hare Bay Adventures. Basically, I'd worked in tourism of one sort or another for right now it's closing in on 20-something years. So I always had that interest. And, we had a idea what we wanted to do. We wanted to be kind of an outdoor, experiential, authentic tourism offer. So we knew that. And, of course, best laid plans of mice and men are about the same. So we've adapted, we've changed. We saw opportunities. Of course, we also we purchased the building that I'm currently in here, which is our retail space and our cafe, to get that open for June 1st, 2019. So just in time for a 1-in-100-year pandemic. That was fantastic. But we slogged through it, and we're very pleased that we have. I get to show people from around the world my backyard, which is an incredibly fantastic place. I tell Newfoundlanders all the time, we don't realize that we live in an exotic location. We take it for granted. I like to use the term, the fish doesn't know it's...
Oh, Dwayne, I think you cut out there.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So you said we lost you at fish.
Yeah, I like to say the term, the fish doesn't know it's wet.
Yeah. Tell folks a bit more. So it's for Hare Bay Adventures, right? You're doing fishing-based stuff, so underutilized species, resettled island trips, glamping as well, right? Give folks just a quick. I think a lot of folks know, but just in case they don't, give folks a little explainer of glamping.
Glamping, glamorous camping, or as I like to call it, camping for people who no longer like to go camping. So we have one of these domes, geodesic domes. It's out on one of the islands off of Hare Bay, a place called Bragg's Island. It used to have a community on it. And it's just an incredible spot. You're on a little cove, basically on your own, solar electric, propane heated, full washroom, shower, hot water on demand, kitchenette, all that sort of thing. It really does give you that away from everything, on the edge of the world kind of experience.
As you've been up and running, right, and you get through the pandemic, and now we've got this other thing going on, and Melissa here in studio with me was just talking about St. John's walking tours and what it's looking like for perhaps more Canadians coming in and still getting American reservations. What is it looking like for yourselves in Hare Bay Adventures, looking ahead to the tourism season with the current economy?
There's always challenges and there's always opportunities, right? A low Canadian dollar. We've got, like I said, I've worked in tourism long enough now to see the Canadian dollar fluctuate everything from kind of where it is now all the way up to like $1.10 US. So that always has an influence on visitation. A low dollar tends to keep Canadians traveling within Canada. It also makes us an attractive destination for U.S. travelers, but also European travelers as well. So I'm looking forward to a pretty decent season. Our bookings are looking pretty good. Pretty much every day now there's things coming in, whether it's the glamping or some of our fishing, but we also do like whale watching. You mentioned the resettled island history tours, this sort of thing. So there seems to be a bit of a groundswell with that. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that's my permanent position in life now, cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to. It sounds like it's a good way to be for an entrepreneur, because if you're on the pessimistic side of it, I think it could probably kind of dent some of the action you need to take.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a pessimist, I would have stayed in Parks Canada rather than to strike out on our own. but it's been very rewarding as well. Lots of hard work, but very rewarding as well.
Before I let you go, just your thoughts on buying Canadian, because like my guests here in the studio, you've got a real focus on keeping stuff local, and even like not just Canadian. We're talking Newfoundland and Labrador local too, right?
Oh yes, we very much have a vision on being super local. Our retail space, we only feature product from Labrador. We carry that through from into our cafe. As much produce in that as we possibly can get is all locally produced, locally grown, locally gathered. Our partridgeberry tea buns, for instance, are pretty popular. Also, we take it into things like our boat is actually built in Glovertown. It's one of the aluminum silver dolphins that are built there by Fabtech Industries in Glovertown. Fantastic.
So you pick up you buy your boat in Glovertown, and you're getting, what is it? You told me maple syrup from Traytown?
Maple syrup from Traytown. We carry a lot of food products here. So maple syrup from Traytown, honey from Grand Falls. We really like to find and feature the stuff that is a Newfoundland Labrador product, but people don't even realize that it is. And more and more people are looking for that, and not just the tourists. Lots of locals are starting to think about supporting local. Where does their food come from? Sustainability, that's a big thing for us as well. We do things like we compost out of our cafe, everything. We recycle all of that. We actually just last year we became the first public electric charging station on the Route 320 here. So we always have an eye for that, because it's increasingly important for not only tourists but for locals, for business to be sustainable. But sustainable means more than one thing. There's fiscally sustainable. There's environmentally sustainable, socially sustainable. It's all part of the picture.
Dwayne Collins, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on the show, and good luck now with tourism season.
Thank you very much. We're looking forward. I would like to say one thing, too, about starting up your businesses here.
Yeah, go for it.
If you have the idea and the will to do it, Newfoundland is actually a pretty good place. I have to say, it's not as daunting as you might think it is. There's a lot of help out there.
Great point to end it on. Thanks again, Dwayne.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Cheers. Dwayne Collins is there, co-owner for Hare Bay Adventures, right? They from glamping to I think they do responsible shark fishing. There's a permitting thing around it, but and lots of other stuff. Looking at the guests here in studio, folks, if you want to join the discussion, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255, the signal at cbc.ca, texts 709-327-8206. We're talking starting businesses, entrepreneurship. Anyone have thoughts on what we were just hearing from Dwayne Collins there?
Well, one thing he mentioned, he sort of reiterated what I was saying, but there's actually more support out there than you think. And while there's a lot of red tape, the government's actually just created a new position, not a department, but a group anyway, called the Business Navigator. They've been operating for about a month now.
A month, all right.
Yeah, so they're really brand new. And there's 3 people who work there, and what their role is to help you navigate all of the programs, licensing, permits, funding, because everything is, if it's government-based, it can be in any one of the different departments. So trying to figure out what you might be, you could apply for can be really confusing. So I'm really happy to see that. And it's a free service as well. So if you need help navigating, I want to start a cafe. What permits do I need? What licenses do I need? Who do I have to talk to about it? The Business Navigator with the government, that's supposedly what they're going to do, is help you work through that, which is nice. When we were starting up, I said I wish that somebody would start a business that was a business concierge, essentially doing that.
Like a focal, exactly.
Like
you need a focal
walk
point.
me through everything.
Right.
Step 1, step 2, step 3. So we figured it out, but Yeah.
Oh, and Jess, someone did ask, we had a caller saying, wanting the specific branch of the YMCA. So what is your specific branch?
So I work out of the Chespenny Family YMCA in St. John's. However, I work within the Employment Enterprise and Newcomer Services area within the YMCA of Newfoundland and Labrador, and we're a provincial team.
Yeah.
So regardless of where you are in the province, I'm available for in-person or remote delivery, and I do often get to travel around the province as well to our different YMCA centers. So you might find me anywhere between here to Labrador, Marystown, and Placentia.
Yeah. And again, folks, if you're looking, because the caller was looking to contact you, so Jess Jones, business planning program, YMCA. So hit your Google button on that, or phone the Chespenny Y, and someone will track her down when she leaves here today. Yeah. Any thoughts on what you're hearing?
In fact, after listening to my co-panelists and Dwayne on the phone, I kind of feel I should have known somebody like Jess before getting it. Yeah,
It's not too late yet.
She's a good person to know.
It's really like a big challenge for any individual trying to start a business.
Yeah.
Generating ideas can come from anywhere. Ideas can come to you even in a bathroom. So that step is not a big thing, but how to put these ideas into practice. It's a huge thing. And in fact, what Dwayne said, he hit the nail right on the head, and just has made this so easy that I feel if you are thinking of starting something now, you have a better chance of success than, say, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Because all the tools are available. The people that you have to contact out there, and it's something that I'm so impressed about. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of just jumping into the deep end of the swimming pool, there's they're giving you some swim lessons and then guiding you in and putting a life jacket on you and you're swimming around. Let's go back to the phones. We got Daryl on the line from Gander. How you doing?
Oh, hi, Adam. You got a great show going as usual, and you got great guests on there with great knowledge. It's good to see all that. I want to call about today there, you're talking about small business and
Yeah.
how we get our jump started. What we got to look at is the interprovincial trade here in Canada. Now, we got too many barriers. Right now, I think in Canada, we're sitting on $240 billion, which we could be trading within Canada. So those trade barriers got to be lifted. And the model to look at, the European Union and especially Australia, they got the stellar model for interprovincial barriers, and this is where we got to look at first. Second, in Germany, you go into a retail store, and this is by law, you see all products of Germany first, and then others secondary or whatever other countries or whatever the case may be. And this is what we got to do the same here in Canada. You go into a store rather than say, oh, is this from this place, is this local or whatever, have it designate, okay, here's Canada, and your products are on one spot. That's how Germany got done. But the interprovincial barriers got to be lifted totally. It's crazy when you're sitting on $240 billion within the country. And this is a good way to counteract the United States and what's happening with the tariffs and so forth. So when you lift all that, then all these people on your show with business, whatever, then it's like domino effects. Then the money will flow better. We're domestic, and then we're not worrying about other countries like doing these tariffs and into a panic mode. And a lot of people are focused too much on the 51st state. That's crazy. If Trump wants to think that, that's fine. We're Canada. Put the energies into where we could be more productive. And not only that, the United States probably needs us more than we need them because they need our oil, because they can't produce enough, and they need our critical minerals like rare earth. And we got more than what they got, just that we're not producing, and this could be more business opportunities. We're sitting on minerals and resources and not even being developed. Voices Bay so much, but all of Canada,
there's more.
It's crazy. Yeah, there is more, and you just Google rare earth. And so this is where it could translate into more business opportunities like spin-offs and so forth. So we got to start looking at this, and rather than wasting our energies and way about this Trump thing, whatever, focus on what we can do, be more independent, more self-sufficient, and support. Then that way you can support local business opportunities, people starting business. They stand more of a chance to make a go of it and will be more self-sufficient.
Totally. Daryl, thanks for the call. And yeah, you're right. And with self-sufficient and with that type of opportunity comes more business opportunity. So I appreciate the comments.
Yeah, okay. And I greatly appreciate you having me on your show, and all the best to you and your guests there today and your listening audience and staff at CBC.
Thanks, sir. Have a good one.
All the best. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Calling from Gander, where there is a 1949 barbershop. Daryl's comment reminds me, when I was living in Japan, there was this tax program called Furusato Noze, and what it is that you would, when you're paying your city taxes in Tokyo, you could actually divert some of them to a different rural region of Japan, and you're like, okay, so what? But here's the so what. What they would do is then send you a gift, and that gift would be something that was made locally. So we got, it could be like a cooking knife from like, there's a certain province known for knives. I think we got sake, and then we got spicy cod roe 1 year. And that was it was taxes. So like we didn't even have to pay for it. It was like we would pay it in taxes anyways. Point being, it was a creative way to get to direct more money into rural Japanese areas and local economies. Not saying that for here, but the point being, when you think of opportunity and in a time like this, when people have to think about different ways of doing things, there's examples out there. What's it like then? So we only have 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. Like the running of so you get started, right? And you get some help, or you find out about help today on the show. What's it like running the business and the upkeep of trying to get it going?
There's a lot to learn. And I've come to Jess with some of these questions before, and they've been a great help. Like bookkeeping. How do you do that? We actually connected with our bookkeeper through the YMCA program. And how do you put out a job ad? How do you do hiring? All of that stuff. So there's a lot beyond learning how to create a walking tour and how to keep people entertained. There's all the behind the scenes stuff as well that we've had to learn. But it feels like it's been just kind of like one thing, then the next. It's never been everything all at once.
No, right.
So we learned how to hire our first employee. Now we have 5. And then you learn how to, run the business first, and then you got to apply for your HST number, and then you got to deal with HST. So it's been incremental.
Yeah. What about your learning lessons?
Oh, it's always a challenge. It's a growing challenge that I don't know if there will be a time where you say you've overcome, because unless you don't have the desire to expand, because it comes with that.
Yeah.
Now, managing yourself is one thing, but managing others is a whole new thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like you have people with different backgrounds, putting them together in one space, trying to get them to do things the way that the business wants them to do. And it's hard. So that's one thing I've come to realize, that managing people can never get easier. It's always getting harder.
Yeah.
When it comes to the other stuff like finances and bookkeeping and those stuff, you can always delegate, or you can always sort for that external help. But I don't think any business owner or any entrepreneur at this stage, at the small business level, would want to outsource those kind of services. Then you end up paying everything out. But if you can team up well with your crew, it makes it easier. And I don't think, as of now, I have any such issues, because I try to come to that level. I've been a barber my whole life, and I know the nitty-gritties when it comes to barbering. So I try to understand them from their point of view, not to always superimpose anything. And it's been working out good.
Good. And Jess, so I mean, you're listening to this, right? You stay in touch with folks, you build networks, you build community of entrepreneurs across the province. What types of check back ins do you do for helping folks? And we've got about a minute left.
All right. Well, I think I'll take this time then to focus on our entrepreneur monthly meetups, where Melissa said she found her bookkeeper. That's exactly the space where we connect entrepreneurs with industry professionals who can help them build skill sets to put directly back into their business. So hiring new staff, how do you go about that? How do you build leadership skills? How do you go through the process of hiring new staff? So those meetups are meant to build a network among entrepreneur clients of our program, but also to connect them with people who can help. You're not alone in Newfoundland and Labrador, and we want to provide a safe space where people can access those supports because we want to see the businesses thrive.
Excellent. And I got to throw to a piece of tape at the end here, but you're also doing snow clearing, right? So you got about 15 seconds. What is this you're doing?
That's Body Multicare Solutions.
Yeah.
We are into snow clearing, lawn care, cleaning.
All right.
Yes.
So you're a busy person.
Very, very busy.
All right. I'm looking at the back there. We've got some tape, and then I'll be back to say goodbye. Here we go. And anytime you hear a little musical riff on the show that's not having anything to do with the intro or extra music for the show, it means Arlette Lazarenko is here, associate producer for The Signal, with either audience feedback or some kind of an announcement. What do you have for us?
Well, thank you, Adam, that I have my own little soundtrack. I love that. So we got a voicemail from Maria Gentle, the executive director of the YWCA in St. John's, and she has an offer to our Labrador listeners. Take a listen.
Good afternoon, Adam and Signal listeners. This is Maria Gentle, Executive Director at the YWCA St. John's. I'm calling in regarding our new childcare project. We're holding consultations in Happy Valley Goose Bay on February 20th and 22nd, and we're looking for diverse women and gender diverse people and ECEs who want to share their voice and ideas on how to create equitable, accessible, and affordable quality childcare. That means we're seeking perspectives from Indigenous parents and caregivers, LGBTQIA+ parents, single parents, young parents, parents and caregivers who are racialized, have experience of immigration, as well as folks who live with a disability. We know that the childcare crisis has a gendered impact, and we know that there's regional differences. We want Labrador voices to be heard. So go to our website, www.ywcastjohns.com/childcare, or to our Instagram page, YWCAYYT, and your involvement will be compensated with a $50 honorarium. There's opportunity for childcare stipends to be provided if needed. If you want to know more, you can also listen to our team on the Labrador Morning Show on Tuesday, February 18th at 7:50 a.m. Come and make your voices heard. We want to hear from you. Thanks so much.
So the YWCA project, as she said, they're going to have consultations taking place in Happy Valley Goose Bay, February 20th and 22. And for more information, people can visit their website at ywcastjohns.com/childcare.
And Arlette, I know you'll be back later in the week because we've done some other recent shows. We've got lots of audience feedback from it, and we're going to be playing all that over the next couple of days at some point. So folks, stay tuned. Thanks so much, Arlette.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it for today's show, and thank you, Arlette, again for bringing feedback, right? Whether it's an announcement or feedback for the show, we are always here for you. The Signal at cbc.ca, or like with my guest Melissa, you're listening to the show, I say I always like show ideas. Email me, it can turn into a show. We do our best to turn ideas into shows, and if you want to call and leave us a message, 709-576-5260 is what we call the Signal line. We got a last-minute call from someone who just left us with this, and this is something we can perhaps unpack on a later day, but it's the person said, with a business, as you get more successful, you need more money, resources to keep going, right? And so that's an interesting point to end on about, yes, it takes a lot to keep things going. Tomorrow it's February, which means it's Black History Month. We will have a conversation with folks from the Black community about what it means to be Black in Newfoundland and Labrador, what Black History Month means to them, and what they want folks to know about their experiences. But that's tomorrow. Until then, thanks so much for listening.